Sounds good.
Welcome to Ask Win, everyone. Today with me I have Juan Carlos Gil, and for those of you who've been around me for a very long time, you remember Juan Carlos as my co-host, and then I brought him on as to give you guys an update on him, and now I'm bringing him on to give you guys an update. And then the next episode I have with him, we're going to be talking about 3D printing and all that entails because I want to show you guys another side of him that he's really passionate about. So I'll let Juan take it away.
Thank you so very much, Win. Good afternoon, everyone, to the lovely people here on the iTunes verse, YouTube verse, and everywhere else that you might be hearing if you're hearing on script or wherever. Well, um, I have been very happy to been working with Win many years ago, and Win has taught me a lot. I myself have cerebral palsy and I'm legally blind, but that has never hindered me or stopped me. I myself do a lot of things for the general community as well as the disability community for advocacy. I also tend to showcase what is possible. Regardless that we are now in the pandemic for the COVID-19, I have teamed up with several individuals to be part of an organization called Mask for Dogs and with a non-for-profit organization called Active Disabled Americans. I have myself been able to donate PPE or personal protective equipment to the doctors in the front line, as well as medical workers, as well as pretty much everyone in the front line, free of charge. So yeah, that's what I've been doing. I've also been working with my 3D printer as well as my a new baby called my laser engraver, and I've been working recently with a young woman from Jackson Memorial Hospital that has a TBI to teach her how to utilize equipment like this so she could actually be, you know, self-employed and she could she could see that it doesn't matter if you have a disability or not. You're able to be worthy of doing something in society or in the community, for a lack of a better word. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's about it.
And to those of you who saw me share a video that Challenge Aspen got spotlighted, and Challenge Aspen is closer to me than it is to you on, but you said you were talking about the ADA. For those of you who've now living under a rock and don't know what the ADA is, ADA stands for Americans with Disabilities Act. And someone asked me, I think it was a couple of weeks ago, how, no, they asked me this um, last Friday. They said, and I'm going to ask you this one, the same question. How do you feel like the ADA's been portrayed since we just celebrated our 30th anniversary in the news and stuff like that?
Well, when to be quite frank with you, there's two parts to my thing. One, the non-for-profit that I was talking about is Active Disabled Americans, and they called it ADA for short, but it's not the Americans with Disabilities Act. But my thing is with the Americans with Disabilities Act, and I talked about it on my YouTube channel that you could look at Juan2617, JUAN2617, and in the show notes, it will be the exact video of me speaking about the ADA 30th anniversary. But pretty much what it has boiled down to is that it is the year 2020. And there is numerous entities out there that has helped individuals with disabilities to pursue equal employment as well as great education. But unfortunately, our federal government has really lacked the funds and the services for things to really work at 100% level. They're working at a 50% level or maybe 45% level, but it's not working at a 100% level. Right now, not to get in a soapbox, but right now, because of
That's
COVID
okay. You can get
19,
on the soapbox. That's
fair
okay.
enough, thank you,
You can get on the soapbox.
fair enough. Now that because there's COVID 19, everything is done online. Well, I myself, I've also been part of litigation to make websites equally accessible and universally transparent and equally accessible to people that are blind, visually impaired, hard of hearing, and the able bodied community. How is it the fact that 3 years ago, 4 years ago, cities, counties weren't accessible to the blind community? And they could not gain information that was rarely available to everyone else just because the counties felt that it was unfeasible when it is feasible. Or now that everybody is being an e-shopper and they're buying everything online, a lot of companies aren't compatible, aren't they're not part of the 503 Act, and it's really really difficult, and it's very disconcerting. Companies spend millions of dollars in making their site quote unquote nice, beautiful, and some websites partner up with other websites to create goods and services and niceties, but because of whatever, they forget a huge population, and that's the disabled population. And because of that, we are stuck in the Stone Age still.
And I
We
can name a
want to
few
be free.
websites too. I can name
Okay,
a few websites that are not handicapped.
good. And it's very
Of them,
disconcerting to
Amazon
be quite
being
frank with
one
you.
of them. Yes, Amazon being one of them, and Calendly is another one that is not handicapped accessible.
Well, there's many more. There's many more, and what they say, oh, it's rarely it's physically rarely available to do it because of things not being there. There's the WCAG, and there's different concepts, and everything should be standardized at the end of the day. And I feel that in this day and age, everybody should take a dime of what Target has created to make their website 95% accessible. Not 100%, but they're getting there.
Yeah,
You talked about Amazon. Amazon is a multi-billion-dollar industry. In not having their website accessible, even though that they have a disability advocacy team that makes their products accessible, it's, to be quite frank, lackluster, and it sucks. And not because I'm talking about negative stuff here, but I myself, I use Amazon. I'm a Prime user, and I have to use Ira, or I have to use a people's eyes, or I have to, to come in to help me, or I have to use TeamView, or I have to do something for the person to click on things because sometimes they're not accessible and it's not right. I myself, I feel that Etsy could be more accessible and it's not. I myself, because now I'm doing 3D printing, laser cutting, engraving, and I started recently working on the Cricut Maker and doing different stuff like that with the shirts and so on and so forth. I want to be on platforms that are accessible, and there's really nothing out there, and it really sucks. Amazon is not accessible for people with disabilities. Etsy is
No,
not 100% accessible.
no, Etsy is not. I quit using Etsy a long time ago. But there's a reason why I won't publish my books via Amazon, and I do it via a third party aggregator, although I'm working on another plan to publish another book because I can't do it anymore because Amazon is not handicap accessible.
I see. Okay.
To simply publish my books. I mean, I can barely find the yellow publish button, let alone um, I can't imagine, and I have spoken to other blind authors about this, but I can't imagine you trying to publish a book, one, because you have to use uh, voiceover and JAWS and all that good stuff. But Amazon is not handicapped accessible, and I don't like them, to be frank and honest with you guys. And I gave up on Amazon.
Okay. Good to know. But I'm like, they're working on it. They're working on it. That's what companies always say. That's their best lingo. They're working on
But
it. I
how?
just wanted to. Uh huh.
But my question is, when will they stop saying we're working on it, we're working on it, we're working on it, and actually show the disabled community, yes, we've worked on it. Yes, we had had this work done, and here it is.
When I say this, when people start litigating towards companies, because at the end of the day, it's follow the money.
Yeah,
Companies only change when their bank account gets hit.
yeah,
They don't change because they want to be nice. They get changed because there's a lawsuit pending.
yeah.
Apple products or 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 what is this? Android products don't make a strong change because they want to be nice. They make a change because there's litigation involved because somebody is suing another company.
Mm.
So in my eyes, that's the only way. Is it the right way? Well, it's not. But unfortunately, society has created a paradigm where that's the only way things get done, unfortunately.
Yeah,
Now, talking about some good news, I'm part of the National Federation of the Blind, and we had our national convention, and we were a part of the Zoom platform. We had over 7,000 people registered, outside of maybe 2,000 or 3,000 more people that did not register. But we had about maybe between 7,000 to 10,000 people on Zoom every day for a whole week. Where I'm getting, where I'm going to go at for 2 seconds is that here in the state of Florida, where I live in right now, for everyone that is blind or visually impaired and has a current active case, listen to my words, that has a current active case with DBS doesn't mean that you're working. You could be elderly or elderly, or just a stay-at-home person. Florida has created a pilot program just this year where if you have an active case with the Division of Blind Services, you are eligible automatically to get either JAWS, Zoom Text, or Fusion absolutely free. It does not matter if you're working or not, you're automatically going to get it. Florida has spent about $100 million to make this program happen.
So are they is Florida the only ones doing it, or is it state by state?
No, right now Florida is the only one that's doing it. The first country ever that worked with Freedom Scientific, now it's named something else. I forget the name, but it's the same concept. Was Colombia, South America. They spent
Yeah.
several $1 million to make the program free of charge for everyone that is blind in the country. Well, Florida said, we're going to make this free of charge. The Florida director of the Regional Blind Services, Dr. Robert Doyle, said that he's working with other states right now to see if they could adopt the same programming. So every state, hopefully in the next 2 years, if not 4 years, hopefully, should have equal access to JAWS, Zoom Text, or Fusion. What does
Now,
that mean?
go ahead,
That
and then I
means,
have a question. Go
2 seconds. That means 2 seconds, please. That means that now you could not say that, oh, because I am poor or because I don't have the financial needs or the financial status, I can have JAWS, Zoom Text, or Fusion. Well, the state is providing it for you. If you speak to your legislators or your Congress people or even your senators, make that happen. If Florida made it happen, why can't Colorado? Why can't Vermont? Why can't New Jersey? Why can't New York?
Yeah.
So on and so forth and like that. But anyway, when you're going to ask a question.
Now, my question is, if you have a physical disability and need this Zoom text or JAWS or Fusion, which I presume is similar to JAWS as a voiceover thing, or is it just for people that are legally blind, or is it just is it for any person with a disability who uses um services through the states, or is it just for the blind?
It's persons that use services for the state currently that are blind. Because to
Okay.
be quite frank with you, people that use vocational rehab is the be all end all entity or agency for people that are not blind and have a secondary or a third disability or just their only disability. Well, vocational rehab has this big misnomer that people don't know about. If you get Social Security income or SSI, you're fine. But if you have worked or you're working or your tax return says otherwise, you're going to be paying between 25% to 75% of the service rendered to you as a disabled person through vocational rehab. Is that fair? No, it's not fair. Were you aware of that?
Was I aware of that? No. And no. And thank you for telling me that, because I wasn't aware of that. And vocational rehab knew I worked, and now I don't work for obvious reasons. I lost my job due to COVID, and I don't plan on going back to work. I plan on being a journalist and working for myself and helping others with disabilities, and you guys know that. But I didn't realize that So why hasn't Vogue? No wonder why they looked at me like I was half crazy. Now it all makes sense when they said you're on survivor benefits. Aha, that's why they wanted to know, because I'm like, yeah, so what? And so I'm like, aha, that's why. Thank you, Juan Carlos, for telling me that. But why is it that Voc Rehab doesn't tell you these things?
Well, because Volk Rehab has a step program, and there's 7 to 10 or 16 steps that you have to go through for you to even receive rendered services. So,
Oh,
in order for you
yes.
to even get a service done from the time that you are intake into the system, you are literally, it could be 6 months to a year before you get your first thing. Now, Division of Blind Services, you're blind, you're blind. You might be legally blind, but if you have what is considered by the United States legal blindness, meaning that you could see maximum, I mean, at minimum 2200 in your worst eye, you're considered legally blind. Anything below that, or anything better than that, better yet, you're not considered legally blind. So if 2150, 2090, nope, sorry, you're just visually impaired. You don't receive services for from the state of Florida, and you're not considered legally blind. You're just low vision. Well, DBS automatically states we're here to serve you and we're here to help you. Either get you back to school or get you equipment, do something to get you employable again. Well, vocational rehab does not. And vocational rehab will literally put you through a psych evaluation to see what other things you might have. And if you tell them, oh, I'm blind and I need this accessible, they don't care. They're going to give you a normal psychologist that's going to give you normal pieces of paper that you can't see. So, how is that equally and truly accessible? It's not.
Yeah.
But I'm digressing, and we're talking about different subjects here.
No. And no. And I'm coming to find out that I am coming to find out that it's easier to find these resources yourself than it is going through an agency.
That's correct. And I'm saying this because of the simple fact that I have a very close person that I know. She has a TBI, and she literally she got fired from a job. It did not get fired because she did not know how to do the job. No, got fired because her traumatic brain injury. Somebody with a TBI gets overwhelmed when there's a lot of things happening. And people with CP also get overwhelmed. And I also wanted to say that she was part of vocational rehab. Vocational rehab did not do their due diligence to make that not happen. This is a state funded agency, and they forget to help the individual. They say, oh, we'll help. But do they really do? No, they don't.
Yeah, well,
One other food for thought. Did you know this, when? And this is what somebody else told me. Having cerebral palsy after 3 to 6 years with cerebral palsy, you are considered to have not a full TBI, but you're considered to have a traumatic brain injury as
I
well.
I didn't know that, and I do. I do have a TBI. I had one for years. I just didn't talk about it, and so I, on top of my CP, I have I had a brain bleed, and
Interesting. So
I swear that if I didn't have that brain bleed, I would my cerebral palsy would be better than it is.
interesting. Well, you know that actually in several states there is better funding sources for people that have TBI than other agencies out there. Were you aware of that?
Now, now you're going to send me. Now you're going to send me and all my listeners down a rabbit hole, Juan Carlos. Oh my goodness. You're going to send me and all my listeners down Google rabbit hole to find out, because I was curious as to. I should just tell people I have a TBI because I do. Um, and I have cerebral palsy. But now you're going to send all my listeners down the rabbit hole, because I did not know that you can get funding for TBI.
Yes, you can. And I've just been told about this recently. But right now, I just want to say after 9 years, I finally have reached over 500 subscribers. I think I am 508 subscribers on YouTube. So I'm very happy and I'm very thankful to everyone that has subscribed. And I truly wish that your audience could subscribe to me. It's totally free. I talk about disability advocacy, I talk about everyday lifestyle, and I talk about technology. And
Oh,
I don't
yes,
want to,
you
do a
do.
shameless plug, but yeah, I need
No,
your
no,
support.
you can do it. You can do a shameless plug. I subscribe to you guys, um, because Juan Carlos and I have worked together for so many years now that I've subscribed, but I even sat and watched the ADA video that you did, and so please go subscribe to Juan Carlos Gil's YouTube channel. You'll see a lot of stuff on that YouTube channel. And as I said, the next thing, the next episode we have with Juan, well, we're just going to talk about 3D printing and how that could help, because um, that could help you guys out. And yeah.
Perfect. Thank you so very much. When once again, you could reach me at Juan JUAN 2617 on
Juan,
YouTube.
KUAN
Yes, Juan
2617, you guys.
JUAN 2617 at YouTube, on Facebook, on Twitter, and on Instagram.
Okay.
And
And
with my Glowforge, I am able to do everything and anything that you would like. I could cut wood, I could cut acrylic, I could engrave on from marble to stone to bone to acrylic to wood to pretty much everything, as well as I could cut a fabric and leather.
how cool is that? Well, as soon as I get as soon as I get more information on a huge announcement slash project, I may involve all artisans to help me with something, including one, because you just gave me an idea of this grow tolerance idea. And as I said, when we bring one back on, we're just going to talk about 3D printing and the grow tolerance, because I think it's fascinating what you're doing. I've always thought it was fascinating, one, and I appreciate you being in my camp, and I try to be in yours as much as I can. But I am very, very thankful to all those disabled advocates that teach me more than I know about my own disability. And one, you have taught my listeners and myself more in this episode than I ever learned. So I appreciate that. And now, Juan, are you doing, well, obviously after the pandemic, are you traveling or are you still doing motivational speaking or what's the deal on that?
Well, traveling, not necessarily. I'm pretty much now at home, and I'm back for a lack of a better word. I'm here in my base camp here in Miami, Florida. But once COVID-19, all the cities, counties, countries open up again, I hopefully will be traveling once again. I enjoy traveling. I don't do what I did 3 years ago, so I'm not the same person I was before for many, many reasons. But anyway, the point is that I will do as much traveling as I can, and I'm always here to advise individuals and also do public speaking as much as possible.
Yeah, well, the podcast thing is going to save both of us, and the YouTube thing is going to save both of us. And it's so funny because people who are able bodied go, they look at us, they look at all disabled individuals, and they probably have more respect for you and I and all the disabled individuals out there who know how to work Zoom and Uber conference in 2 seconds flat when they are struggling, including my stepmom. And it's like, look, give me a laptop. I can show you in 2 seconds flat how to get on Zoom, how to do Zoom. And so this work at home culture is going to stay. I mean, it's not going anywhere anytime soon.
No, it's not. It's not going. It's not going anywhere anytime soon. And for the majority of individuals, like I heard this, and it was very interesting to me, and it's very true actually. There's two or three types of camps. There's the camp that you are a professional, and COVID-19 does not really hinder you because you have your finances in order and you are just still living and you're just restructurizing and just working from home. That's one camp. There's the camp of the person that has to work hard to put food on the table and make ends meet. That's the other camp. And the third and the hardest camp is the American that lives paycheck to paycheck, and COVID-19 has really hurt them in so many different ways. And all these stimulus packages has been great, but in reality, it could be better. But not to get into politics because that will be a very bad soapbox. But the point that I'm trying to make is that parents that are professionals, it's not worrying them, it's not bothering them. Now, parents that are very low income or that are blue collar and or they have to work for a living and they have kids, it's very difficult because they're saying, "Oh yeah, I don't have food or finances to give my child for them to eat, or retrofit a room for them to study or so on and so forth. And it's very difficult and very disconcerting. I myself, I've donated two, $300 to help families in need here and there when they need it to for their kids to have at least a month's worth of food for them not to say, oh yeah, I can't feed my child. And so yeah, it's difficult. It's difficult, but it is what it is.
And one of my wishes, and you guys know this, one of my wishes after I get out of journalism school and I plan to do this. One of my wishes is to put boots on the ground in Florida primarily, and put and help the special ed population, because since March, the special ed population, and Juan Carlos and I are both special ed kids, and in our own rights and individual is here, but since March, the next generation of special ed kids, to put it mildly, they have gotten the fuzzy and lollipop, because everyone else has been working from home. But how do you bring the one-on-one parapro into the home with masks,
I
obviously? But how do you translate special ed into the home environment? You don't.
you don't, but you do. You don't, but you do. In the sense of this, right now, at least when I went to school, I graduated 2000 school. I went to the Florida School for Deaf and Blind, and then before I was at Coral Gables Senior High School. The ratio was five. It was for high school. It was 15. It was 15 to 1. So 15 kids for one teacher. Sometimes it was 10 to 1. Now, people that have ADHD, people that have learning difficulties in many different ways, those ratios are still too high. Now, it's even going to my eyes, they could get all the volunteer teachers, all the retired teachers to teach the actual curriculum in a way that is feasible or manageable for students to do it directly to Zoom, because Zoom is a great platform.
Yeah,
It's a great platform. And I bet you there's others out there. I'm like, just Zoom got popular overnight, but it is what it is. I just saw, and again, just as a not a shameless plug, but a reality. With my Glowforge, I could actually cut out letters in a plexiglass or an acrylic board. I could actually do your ABCs, your one, two, threes, and actual words, and kids in kindergarten or kids that are visually impaired could trace. So they know what an A is, they know what a
yeah,
B is, they know what a C is. So I'm here thinking about the kindergarten aspect. So I
exactly.
could do that. I could do many, many, many different things. But I digress. The point that I'm trying to make is that you could definitely do lots of different things with Zoom and other applications and platforms. Just there has to be more of a cohesive environment and understanding and acceptance.
Yeah, yeah. Acceptance. That's the name of the game, people. Acceptance. And there has to be, because COVID-19 is not going away anytime soon. And this retired educator could get on a soapbox as far as special ed. And I want to turn special ed upside down, and you people know that. And so, Juan Carlos, where could people find you, and if they want to get a hold of you?
Well, people can find me at my email address, juan20 juan2617@gmail.com. I am Googleable, so you could find me at Juan Carlos Gil. You could find me on my YouTube channel. I would truly appreciate it if you could subscribe. Juan2617. My picture is actually myself in a wheelchair. I'm like in a conference hall, and I'm wearing a what is this, like a hat. Um, and the actual name is JC Production. That's the name of the YouTube channel. So that's that. You could also find me on my Instagram feed. Now that I'm doing laser and engraving services and 3D printing services that I was doing beforehand, you could reach me and we could talk about different things that I could do. I'm currently working with Mass for Docs and the Active Disabled Americans, ADA charity here in Florida, to provide protective equipment for frontline workers free of charge. I've donated over 15,000 ear savers and over 5,000 face shields. So yeah, I'm doing that around the clock. Uh, and just in general, you could reach me and we could have a lovely chat. Thank you
Yeah.
so very much
No,
for letting
thank
me
you.
speak.
Thank you. And the next time we have Juan on, you guys, Juan is going to go into detail about 3D printing and all that's fascinating stuff because that's one of Juan's passion. I knew about this passion for many, many, many years, and one got into this many, many years ago. So it's not a new thing, it's just acquired new toys along the way, apparently.
Yeah.
And 3D printing is here to stay. And when I get this huge project underway, I'm going to be asking artisans to help me with something. Although you don't know what it is yet, I haven't made the announcement yet, but I will, and it's all gonna be good. And so, Juan, what is your last piece of advice for a person who's able-bodied who's listening to myself and you speak?
Well, what's my piece of advice and what's my food for thought? We as individuals, we're normal. We have maybe a different way of speaking. Maybe it takes us a little bit longer of cognitively understanding what you're talking about, but we are normal. We just act and walk and ambulate in a different sense. We might not be able to see, but we're not dumb. Just give us an opportunity and let us showcase to you, or another way, manifest to you what is possible and what could we do. Just show us the way and we will make it happen.
Yeah.
And with that win, I just want to thank you and your sponsors that have graciously given you airtime to have your channel constantly here on iTunes and on different platforms.
Well, thank you. And I was going to say, give us the tools to succeed. We'll make you guys succeed. They say always or try to hire a person with a disability, give them the tools to succeed. They'll work till the job is done, and that's why I wanted to bring one on, not only to talk about 3D printing and disabled advocacy, but to talk about his perspective with cerebral palsy and being blind. So I will catch you guys next week, and we will have another fascinating conversation. And I hope you guys enjoyed this fascinating episode with Juan and I on Ask Win. Thanks to you guys.
Bye bye now.